You ever watch a team fumble a golden opportunity in real time? Not just a bad play, not just a questionable call, but an actual slow-motion, franchise-defining implosion, all because the people in charge couldn't let go of their egos? Well, welcome to the Cleveland Browns, where an electrifying rookie quarterback lights up preseason, and instead of building around him, the organization shoves him toward the door. If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed. Shedeur Sanders came in like a spark, and the Browns are out here trying to put out the fire. Let's rewind. One preseason game. That's all it took. One game where Shedeur, against all odds and with barely any reps with starters, came out slinging, showing poise, vision, accuracy, and a confidence that should have had the entire fan base and front office on their feet. Instead, head coach Kevin Stefanski steps to the podium and basically shrugs. He's not part of the long-term plan. Come again? Imagine watching your rookie QB throw darts, command the offense like a 10-year vet, and then saying, "Yeah, but we're good." It wasn't just tone deaf. It was a declaration of dysfunction, and fans knew it immediately. The reaction was swift, loud, and relentless. You had people burning jerseys, hashtags trending, former players speaking out, and most telling of all, the boos at camp. Real-time feedback, straight from the heartbeat of the city. Because Cleveland fans, they've been through enough. Quarterback after quarterback, rebuild after rebuild. Hope dangled in front of them like a carrot on a stick, only to be yanked away the second something real starts to take shape. And now Shedeur, the one guy who came in with real swagger, real game, and real results, is suddenly being iced out. Why? Let's not play coy. We know exactly what this is. Politics, egos, control. Stefanski didn't draft him. That much is clear. And instead of embracing Shedeur's early success as a gift, he saw it as a threat, a challenge to his authority, a narrative he didn't write. And that's the kind of thinking that destroys locker rooms. Because it wasn't just fans who were stunned by Stefanski's comments. Sources say players were equally confused and furious. Guys who've been grinding in practice every day saw what Shedeur was doing. They saw how the offense clicked with him, how the huddle got quieter, how the energy shifted, how he made plays other quarterbacks couldn't even attempt. So when Stefanski went public and threw cold water on the hottest hand in camp, that wasn't just a bad coaching decision. That was a breach of trust. And Shedeur, he stayed professional. He didn't lash out. No cryptic tweets. No sideline tantrums. But behind the scenes, he asked to be traded. Because how else do you respond when your head coach publicly dismisses you after you've done everything right? He showed up early. He studied. He adapted. And still it wasn't enough. Not because he failed, but because he succeeded too soon. Let that sink in. And now we're at a full-blown standoff. The Browns have a young quarterback with star potential, and they backed him into a corner where his only option is to leave. You think the locker room hasn't noticed? You think other players aren't watching how the front office handles this? You think future free agents aren't taking notes? This isn't just about one player. This is about a message. If talent doesn't matter, if performance doesn't matter, if winning doesn't matter, then what does? And meanwhile, as the Browns try to spin their way out of disaster of their own making, other teams are circling. The Los Angeles Rams, reportedly interested. And why wouldn't they be? Imagine Shedeur in Sean McVay's system. Imagine him working behind a competent line, slinging it to real weapons with a coach who actually wants him to succeed. That's the nightmare scenario for Browns fans, not just losing Shedeur, but watching him thrive somewhere else. Because make no mistake, he will. You don't fake that kind of poise. You don't coach that kind of vision. You don't luck into that level of command. And you definitely don't let it walk unless you're committed to losing. What's wild is how public it's all become. Leaked quotes, whispers from inside the facility, footage from practices. Stefanski criticizing Shedeur's weaknesses without ever once praising the strengths that are turning heads across the league. It's not just bad PR. It's destructive leadership. You can't build around fear. And that's what this is. Fear of change. Fear of being upstaged. Fear of admitting that maybe, just maybe, the plan didn't go as expected. But something better showed up anyway. And instead of adapting, they shut the door. And now ownership's in panic mode. You got fans demanding action, sponsors asking questions, media pressure mounting. And what do the Browns do? Do they double down on ego or swallow their pride and do what's best for the team? Because let's talk brass tacks. What are the options? Option 1, you keep Shedeur. You fire the coach who can't get on board. You build the team around the player who actually wants to win here. Option 2, you trade him. You get some picks. And you watch him become a star in a different jersey, while the fan base never forgives you. It's not that complicated. This isn't a third stringer complaining about snaps. This is a potential franchise quarterback saying, if you won't bet on me, let me go somewhere that will. And the Browns somehow still haven't made the decision. Every day they wait, the damage gets worse. The locker room splits deeper. The media storm grows louder. And the league watches stunned as a team so desperate for a quarterback sabotages the best one they've had in years. It's tragic. It's maddening. And it's exactly the kind of thing that's kept this franchise in purgatory for decades. Because if you can't recognize a star when he's standing right in front of you, you don't deserve one. So now, Cleveland stands at the crossroads. Either they learn from their history, or they repeat it again and again and again. Shedeur Sanders has done his part. He showed up. He performed. He proved the hype was real. And now, he's waiting to see if the Browns have the guts to do what's right, or the arrogance to throw it all away. Because this isn't just a quarterback controversy. This is a loyalty test. And everyone's watching who the Browns are really loyal to, the players who win or the people who get in the way. You want to talk about loyalty? Loyalty isn't about sticking with a coach because he's been there for a few years. It's not about riding out a process when the process is failing right in front of you. Loyalty is about showing up for the players who show up for you. It's about recognizing greatness when it's in the building. It's about earning trust, not just demanding it because your name is on the door. And right now, the Browns are failing that test. Publicly, painfully, because Shedeur Sanders is everything they've been looking for. He's young, smart, ridiculously talented, and most importantly, he's hungry. Not for fame, not for clout, for wins. And yet, somehow, that's not enough. Let's not sugarcoat this. This is sabotage, dressed up in press conference talking points. Kevin Stefanski didn't just overlook Shedeur. He undermined him. Every time he brushed off a highlight-worthy performance. Every time he redirected praise to someone else. Every time he emphasized what still needs to be worked on without acknowledging what Shedeur had already mastered, he was sending a message. You're not one of my guys, and you never will be. This isn't uncommon in the NFL, but it's infuriating to watch. Because when you're running a team, especially one with a history like Cleveland's, your only job should be this. Put the best players on the field. Period. You don't get to pick who fate hands you, but you do get to decide whether or not you'll open your eyes when that fate shows up. And here's the part that stings even worse. This whole thing was avoidable. There didn't have to be a trade request. There didn't have to be chaos. There didn't have to be fans turning on the franchise they've stuck with through everything. But Stefanski made it personal. And Shedeur, he made it professional. That's what's so wild about all this. Despite being shut out, second-guessed, and gaslit by his own coach, Shedeur kept his head. He didn't run to the media. He didn't trash anyone. He just asked to be given a chance somewhere else. And that, more than anything, says everything about who's ready for the moment and who's not. Shedeur's been under pressure his whole life. First, as Deion Sanders' son. Then as a breakout college star under a blinding spotlight. And now, in the NFL, where every snap is dissected and every move is under a microscope, and still he's calm. You think that's an accident? You think that poise is fake? No, that's experience. That's growth. That's preparation. That's what a future franchise QB looks like. And now, the Browns, instead of investing in that, are preparing to let him go. What do they think is going to happen? That he'll vanish? That some other team won't jump at the opportunity? Because, spoiler alert, teams are already calling. The Rams, the Falcons, even quiet whispers from quarterback-needy teams who wouldn't normally take this kind of gamble, all lining up because they see what Cleveland refuses to admit. This kid isn't a maybe. He's a sure thing waiting to happen. You don't trade that away unless you're actively trying to become a punchline again. But maybe that's what this really is. Maybe the Browns are just too comfortable being in crisis, too addicted to the chaos, too conditioned to push away the very thing they've always wanted: stability, leadership, excellence. Shedeur could have been all of that, still could be, but not if they keep treating him like a threat instead of an answer. And that's the part fans are really grappling with. Not just that they might lose him, but that they're watching their team choose pride over progress, choose politics over performance, choose old narratives over new possibilities. And the damage? It's already here. The locker room is fractured. Players who at Shedeur's back are questioning the direction of the team. Assistants are side-eyeing the head coach. The front office is under pressure from owners. And the fans? They're done waiting patiently. This isn't about one game or one preseason moment. This is about a pattern. Every time something good starts to happen in Cleveland, the people in charge panic. They tighten up. They double down on the old way. And then collapse. Every single time. But this time's different. Because this time, the fans are ahead of the front office. They're not falling for the PR spin. They're not buying the development excuse. They saw what Shedeur did, and they know what they saw was real. So now, the Browns are staring down a decision that's going to define the next 5 years, maybe more. They either walk this back, eat some humble pie, and recommit to Shedeur, or they trade him, watch him flourish somewhere else, and live with the legacy of letting a star walk out the door because the coach felt threatened. There's no in-between. Because even if Shedeur stays, the damage to trust is already there. Rebuilding that, it's going to take more than a jersey swap and some photo ops. It's going to take actual accountability. And Stefanski, he may not survive this. Because if ownership truly wants to salvage what's left, someone's head is going to roll. And there's only one name being whispered in every hallway, in every back office, in every hushed post-practice conversation. The guy who let ego drive the bus into a ditch. The guy who picked control over connection. The guy who might have just lost a locker room, and maybe the future of the franchise with it. Kevin Stefanski. This story isn't over. Not by a long shot. Because if Shedeur gets traded, we're talking national headlines. Week-long coverage. Every throw he makes for his new team, every highlight, every win, is going to come with the same punchline. The Browns let that guy go. And if they keep him but refuse to start him, that locker room mutiny is going to get louder. That fan backlash is going to get uglier. And any loss, no matter how small, is going to feel 10 times heavier. Cleveland has no more margin for error. They're either about to make the smartest pivot in years or add another chapter to a legacy that's already been soaked in regret. And Shedeur? He's still waiting, still composed, still focused, because he doesn't need them to believe in him anymore. He already knows who he is. The only question left? Do the Browns? Here's the thing no one at the top wants to admit. This isn't just about football anymore. This has become a symbol, a referendum on everything the Browns claim they've left behind. All those years of dysfunction, the constant carousel of quarterbacks, the endless cycle of false starts and paper-thin rebuilds, they were supposed to be over, done, buried in the past. But now they've come roaring back. Loud, embarrassing, public. Because how else do you explain this? A rookie quarterback walks into your franchise, plays better than anyone expected, shows maturity beyond his years, wins the locker room, excites the fan base, and suddenly he's the problem? Make it make sense. You know who's not confused? The players in that locker room. They know it's real. They see who can lead, who delivers under pressure, who puts the team first. And more than anything, they know when a guy is being iced out for reasons that have nothing to do with football. And that's what makes this situation so dangerous. Because once the players start feeling like the front office is playing politics instead of playing to win, Once they start thinking talent won't be rewarded, once they see a teammate, a leader, get pushed out just for challenging the hierarchy, you lose them. Not just for a week, not just for a season, for years. Trust is fragile in the NFL. And right now, the Browns are smashing it like it's made of glass. The veterans, they've seen this movie before. The younger guys, they're watching closely, wondering if it'll be them next. And for what? To protect the feelings of a coach who got outcoached in the playoffs, backed the wrong quarterback in the offseason, and now can't even hold a team meeting without side eyes flying across the room? Let's be honest. The only reason Shedeur is still on the roster is because ownership hasn't figured out how to clean up Stefanski's mess yet. They're stuck, trapped between what they've built on paper and the reality they're now being forced to face. Shedeur is the future, and the more they fight it, the more damage they're doing to that future. Because think about what it says to fans, to players, to the entire league. If the Browns actually trade him, what message are you sending? That performance doesn't matter? That it's better to keep your coach comfortable than keep your locker room intact? That your idea of culture means keeping people in line, not lifting the best voices up? It's laughable. And worse, it's dangerous. Because the second Shedeur lands on another roster, and you know he will, the microscope flips. Every decision he makes will reflect right back on Cleveland. He throws a touchdown in a Rams uniform. Why didn't the Browns see this? He leads a comeback in prime time. Did Cleveland seriously let this guy walk? And here's the kicker. That narrative doesn't go away. Ever. Ask Houston how long Deshaun Watson's name haunted them after that trade. Ask the Bears how many memes they've survived for skipping on Mahomes. Once you become the franchise that let the wrong QB go, it sticks. Forever. And Shedeur? He's already showing signs of that kind of trajectory. No, he's not perfect. No rookie is. But perfection was never the point. What matters is what you see when the game slows down and everything's on the line. That's when you find out who belongs. And Shedeur? He's not just ready for the moment. He craves it. You think it's a coincidence that fans are chanting his name during other players' reps? You think it's an accident that assistant coaches are slipping praise in interviews even when they're not supposed to? This kid has gravity. He walks into a room and the energy shifts. He's not just a player. He's a presence. And you don't teach that. You don't develop that out of thin air. You either have it or you don't. And Shedeur has in spades. So where does that leave the Browns? Cornered, scrambling, and, in classic Cleveland fashion, almost blowing it. They could have handled this cleanly, quietly. Give Shedeur a real shot. Let the competition play out naturally. Be honest with the media. Back your players publicly. Build momentum. Instead, they chose the dark path. They picked the coach who got rattled by his own rookie. They let a grudge grow into a crisis. And now they're staring down a decision they never wanted to make. Save face or save the franchise. Because you can't have both. If you keep Stefanski and ship Shedeur off, you might save your coaching tree. But you'll gut the team's heart. If you fire the coach and go all in on the rookie, you're admitting you were wrong. You're admitting you mismanaged the situation. You're admitting you let it get this bad. But maybe that's what needs to happen. Maybe the only way to start fixing this is to own the mistake. Let go of the pride. Let go of the politics. Do what you should have done from the beginning. Back the guy who wants to win. Because if there's one thing Shedeur's made clear, it's this. He didn't come to Cleveland to play games. He didn't come here to ride the bench. And he definitely didn't come here to be someone else's scapegoat. He came to build something, to prove something, to lead something. And the Browns? They still have time. Not much, but enough. Enough to hit pause, to regroup, to stop letting fear drive the decisions. Because the longer they delay, the more they risk losing not just a player, but the soul of the team. And let's be honest, how many times can a fan base take that? How many more times can you ask them to believe? Only to pull the rug out the second something real starts to take shape. They deserve better. The players deserve better. Shedeur deserves better. So this is it, the moment of truth. Do the Browns keep digging the hole they're in? Or do they finally start climbing out? We'll know soon enough. Because Shedeur isn't waiting forever. And if the Browns can't see what's standing right in front of them, someone else will.